Selling a home right now is more challenging than it's been in years. The strategies that worked during the last few spring markets just aren't landing the same way, and even experienced agents are having to relearn how to navigate this shift. I try to avoid doom and gloom narratives. That's not what I'm about. I aim to just give you a clear, honest look at what's actually happening in our real estate market, even when the reality is tougher to hear. Based on where inventory levels are, where the market is trending, and what's happening in the economy, I don't think that things are going to get too much easier for sellers anytime soon. In fact, I think it's going to get tougher. And right now, I'm seeing sellers and agents make a lot of mistakes. Mistakes that didn't matter as much in a hot market because demand made up for them. But in this market, they're costing sellers tens of thousands of dollars. Every day I log into our system and I see listings that basically scream, "Help me." So in this video, I'm breaking down 5 of the biggest mistakes that sellers are making right now and what to do instead when you list your home. My name is Jessie McClellan and I'm a realtor here in Oshawa, Ontario. Subscribe if you would like to follow everything happening in our real estate market and hit the like button to help me reach more people like you. There's also a link in the description where you could book a call directly with me and get your questions answered about our market. The first mistake is expecting a higher value for your home because you've invested in things that simply bring it up to par with other homes, but not above and beyond. Things like a new air conditioner, roof, or windows. Those are great to have and buyers will absolutely appreciate them, but they expect those items to be in good condition anyway. They'll deduct value if you're missing them, but they likely won't pay a premium just because you've replaced them recently. I've seen sellers repave a driveway or install luxury flooring in an entry-level home that doesn't have central air. And unfortunately, a buyer shopping in that price range is likely going to care more about comfort and essentials than about upgraded finishes. If you're making upgrades for your own enjoyment, absolutely by all means, put your money where it makes sense for you to be happy. But when it's time to sell, you need to focus on what buyers for your property type and price point usually value. Not all upgrades give you a return. And that brings us to mistake number 2, not understanding the expectations of buyers at your price point. A buyer shopping at a $700,000 budget doesn't expect the same things as someone shopping with a $1.2 million budget. At $700,000, a kitchen from the early 2000s might be considered dated, but is totally acceptable. But at $1.2 million, buyers will expect something far newer. No home is perfect and no one is expecting it to be. You and your agent can take a look at what's typical in your area and decide whether it's worth making certain improvements before listing. Or, and this is just as valid, you can adjust your price and marketing to reflect what your home offers right now. One of the worst things you can do is position your home like it's a 10 out of 10, only for buyers to walk in and feel disappointed. That first impression will kill your momentum, and you'll end up chasing the market with price reductions. Instead, embrace what your home really is, a great opportunity for someone to get into your neighborhood at a fair price. Highlight the potential, be transparent about what the home offers and who it's best suited for. There's a buyer for every home, but you have to position your home correctly to attract the right people. Mistake number 3, and this one is a personal pet peeve, is not having a clear pricing strategy. This sets your home up for failure and sets you up to feel blindsided. Your agent should come to the table with a clear plan A based on data and recent comparable sales, and a plan B if that first strategy doesn't lead to results in a specific amount of time. There are a lot of things right now that just don't make sense. You'll see a home start at $900,000, then drop to $750,000, and then jump back up to $975,000. It signals confusion, and that attracts bargain hunters, buyers who are looking for signs that you are panicking and might accept a low offer. If you're trying the list low and hold offer strategy, that should be plan A, not something that you try mid-listing. And your low list price should be intentional, not just a random low number. It's about positioning the home as the best value on the market and creating urgency in a market that otherwise lacks it. If you start high, then drop low, then go high again, it creates a pricing roller coaster. It confuses buyers, weakens your negotiation power, and often backfires. Which brings us to mistake number 4, giving off a feeling of desperation. You might not be desperate at all, but if your listing makes it look that way, buyers will treat it that way. That includes things like relisting too often, saying motivated seller everywhere on the listing, or even offering bonus commissions to agents. These can be red flags to today's buyers, especially in a market where they have more options and time to think. Sometimes sellers are under pressure because they've already bought their next home and need to sell quickly, and I totally understand that. But if you're in that position, the best strategy is just to price it right. You don't need to broadcast urgency in your marketing. And for most people in these market conditions, you should be selling your home first before you're buying your next property. If your pricing, presentation, and positioning are all on point, the right buyers will show up and they won't come in assuming you'll take a lowball offer. Mistake number 5 is holding on to a price that the current market just doesn't support. This one is tough because I understand your home means a lot to you. It's where you've built memories, and it's natural to want to get the most out of it. But sometimes the number that made sense 6 months ago no longer holds up today. Maybe you had a conversation with your agent last year and they gave you an estimated value. Then life got busy, time passed, and now you're ready to list, but the market has softened and comparable homes are selling for far less. If that pricing conversation doesn't get revisited just before you hit the market, it can create disappointment and delay. You might list too high, reject reasonable offers, and by the time you're ready to accept where the market's at, your home value may have even slipped further. That's why regular communication with your agent is so important. Make sure they're keeping you up to date on what's selling in your area, and be open to having an honest conversation about price, even if it's not what you hope to hear. If you're also buying, keep in mind in many cases what you lose on your sale, you gain back on your purchase. If both markets have softened, it often evens out. You're either priced to sell or you're priced to help your neighbor sell. Before we wrap up, I want to touch on something else that's just as important, and that is your agent's ability to adapt. Heading into this kind of market, your agent needs more than just experience. They need creativity, strong communication skills, and the ability to shift gears when the situation calls for it. Because sometimes the difference between a home that sells and one that doesn't is a small adjustment or a conversation most agents wouldn't think to have. Let me give you an example. Years ago, my business partner Lisa was helping to sell a home in a slow market. They had showings but weren't getting offers, so she started contacting the agents who showed the property, and one mentioned that their buyers loved the home, but all of their funds were tied up in the down payment and they didn't have cash left over to replace the aging furnace. So Lisa made a suggestion. Instead of letting the deal slip away, ask the buyer to come up $4,000 on their offer and then give that same amount back to them as a credit on closing so they could replace the furnace themselves. That deal came together because she picked up the phone, had a conversation, and found a creative solution that worked for everyone. Sometimes it's that kind of thinking that gets the deal done. If your home needs something major like a roof, furnace, or AC, don't leave buyers guessing, especially if you're in the first-time home buyer price range. Consider getting a couple of quotes in advance. Some buyers don't have a strong sense of what these repairs actually cost, and when they guess, they tend to really overestimate. So providing a clear number can ease concerns and help prevent lowball offers or no offers at all. And this only works when the seller is open to adjusting the approach to make the deal work without giving up on their bottom line. That flexibility paired with a smart strategy can go a long way in a market like this. If you're thinking about selling and want to understand what your home might be worth in today's market, or just want a second opinion, feel free to use the link below to book a call. I'm always happy to walk you through what the process could look like without any pressure. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.